Hey there, welcome to the Franchise Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Jason Revere, and this is the inaugural episode, so thanks for tuning in. Listen, I created this podcast to focus not only on bringing you some of the best brands in franchising, which is important, but there's a lot of shows out there that do that. I created this podcast to bring you some of the real life stories from the franchise industry and why they started the franchise, what drives the individuals that are behind some of these franchises. As we all know, businesses are made up of people, and these people have unique stories to share and some unique perspectives on the franchise industry and their respective franchises themselves, plus some really great stories and some insights on how you can grow your own business and or start a franchise business as well. And that's why I started it, this franchise, and that's what we're going to be bringing to you. And on today's episode, the very first episode of the Franchise Revolution podcast, we're catching up with the Vice President of Franchise Development for Threshold Brands. They're a large company, really a mega company in the franchise world. They've got multiple companies underneath their umbrella, most of them, and I believe all of them, actually in the home services industry, which is a really booming industry thanks to not only the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic that we just came through, but just in general, I think people are finally realizing that home services franchises are some of the quickest paths to generating revenue and to realizing the full potential of a business model. And he's going to be joining us today and sharing some insights of one of their brands, Sir Grout. Sir Grout is one of their newest brands to their family of companies. And it's a really cool franchise that on the surface sounds a little lame, whatever. Sir Grout, oh boy, we're going to be talking about grout. Holy cow, what are we going to do with grout to generate revenue? Well, you're going to learn a lot about that and how it is a necessary service, thanks to what the government now considers essential services for the government. But on top of that, from your consumer's perspective, if you're looking at owning a franchise, they're a pretty cool one to check out. So stay tuned for that interview. Then we're going to wrap it all up at the end of this and talk about what it's like to start a business and how scary that can be, and why pairing yourself with the right franchise can help you to achieve your goals and to realize your full potential and live out your dream of business ownership. So stay tuned throughout the entire thing. We'll wrap it up. And up next, though, the resplendent Ron Bender, Vice President of Franchise Development for Threshold Brands, and he's here talking about Sir Grout. So stay tuned. Hello, welcome to the Franchise Revolution. I had to add franchise in front of that. That way Sean Hannity's folks didn't call me for trademark infringement on Welcome to the Revolution. So welcome to the Franchise Revolution. And I want to say shout out to our sponsor, Zoa Energy Drinks. If you ever find yourself sucked into a video game with your friends Kevin Hart and Jack Black, well, if you do, you're going to need some energy to get yourself freed from the grips of that video game. And that's why I always turn to Zoa. Zoa, Healthy Warrior Energy Drink, 160 milligrams of natural caffeine. Zoa. I kid, of course. Zoa is not one of our sponsors yet, but I figured I'm going to just start doing it, and maybe they'll start paying me for it. So thanks to Rock
Worth a
for
try.
producing the Zoa Energy Drinks. But we got a jam-packed show here. Let's stop with all the nonsense. We got a jam-packed show for you today. We have a really special guest that's coming to us representing not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, like 8, 10 brands, a million brands. I don't know. We'll let him tell his story. He's from Threshold Brands. His name is Ron Bender, and I've got a little info sheet here on Ron. I'm going to read this for you, Ron, and you can let me know if this sounds familiar. Ron was resplendent in green, black, and yellow kilt as he made his debut for Threshold Brands at the IFE. Resplendent. Ron, I have never been called resplendent in my entire life. So the resplendent Ron Bender with Threshold Brands. Ron, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. I don't know what to say. This is the first time in my life that I've been referred to as resplendent.
Yeah, well, the Franchise Times magazine begs to
I
differ.
know.
They published it,
Oh
and
yeah.
you're branded as resplendent now going forward. So,
You're the first one who's repeated it that I know of, at least not mockingly. Yeah.
mm, fair enough. So, Ron, tell me, tell me about your background, man. What's your background? What makes Ron tick?
Wow, have I got a story for you? So, first of all, let me say that although I am not sponsored, I am an Aggie. I'm trying to get
Yeah,
together.
Texas A&M.
This is just Arnold Palmer, no energy drink here. But I went to Texas A&M and I got a degree in marine biology. Played some baseball, got marine biology degree, which of course, as you know, is a perfect segue into the world of franchising.
Mhm.
So I actually had a first career in retail. I was with Ritz Camera Centers and Builders World for a long time. Had a great time. Got recruited by my first franchise due to my retail experience. They were a retail brand, and they wanted somebody to do franchise sales and to do operations, which of course was natural for the retail. I stayed with them for 12 years, had an incredible time, loved dealing with owners rather than corporate managers. I thought that was just amazingly satisfying. And even more satisfying was that in our world, Jason, you and I, and of course our peers throughout all the other brands, we get to help people achieve their dreams. And that is, it's just beyond satisfaction. It's just such an incredible thing. So through the years, I've spent much of my time in retail franchising. That was my first expertise. But now, and I've had a little experience in the past. I'm with home services franchise brands at Threshold, and the neat thing there is that these home services brands, first of all, they're booming. I don't know if you heard, but there was this virus thing going around. It's been on some of the news. You probably haven't heard, but anyway,
I've heard of it. Yeah,
have
I've
you?
heard of it. Yeah, I
Uh,
think.
Well,
Yeah.
that really caused a lot of folks to want more service in their home. You know, they needed to have a more comfortable place to work, or they needed to have a more comfortable place to homeschool, or whatever it happened to be. So home services has been booming, and the benefit of most of these home services brands, they're most of them home based. They're less expensive, but they give people the freedom of income and lifestyle, and they can really take control of their lives, their dreams. It's a great thing.
Yeah. No, it is. It is a great thing. And by the way, full disclosure, I am unabashedly a fan of the home service franchise concept
Right.
for the right people, of course, right? Your background in marine biology is funny. It made me think of something kind of funny. So you do still get to exercise that degree, right? It wasn't a wasted degree
Oh no.
because in franchising, when you're dealing with the different brands that you've got, right? Some people are different and better suited for others, and so you get to work with really both sharks, right? We've heard the term shark, like Shark Tank and whatnot. You get to work with sharks, and then those that maybe are less qualified, you also get to work with some jellyfish. So you got both ends of the spectrum, right?
I
And
do,
so
you
you're
know, and to be honest, most people don't figure that out, but you're
That's
thinking.
right. That's right. Yeah, your marine biology background is coming into play, and has rewarded you well. I mean, you've been in the industry now for like 25 years. That's a good long time to see a lot of changes in this thing. And thank you, by the way, for mentioning COVID-19. That way, it'll help. It makes it where I don't have to ask that stupid ass question that you hear all the time. How did COVID impact your business? It impacts it as much as you want to let it impact it, as far as I'm concerned. But thank you very much for bringing that up. But that said, you've been in the industry for roughly 25 years. I'm looking at your LinkedIn page. Looks like 1998, give or take. So that's like 24-ish years
Yeah.
ago, right? And so you've undoubtedly seen a ton of changes. I mean, hell, the advent of the internet really, back then phone books were how you advertised your business to get
Right.
get calls to your business, right? So
Yep.
talk about the changes you've seen from both the consumer's perspective and the franchise development perspective.
Wow, that's a really fun question. You know, I appreciate that, and thank you for not mentioning that I'm old. The 24 years of experience and all that, I get that. Most people wouldn't pick up on that. So I think, you know, in the consumer world, your digital revolution happened within the last 24 years. So as you said, it used to be yellow page advertising. It used to be direct mail, billboards, and that's really the way you got the word out. Nowadays, of course, everything is online. Everything is reputation based. If you do not have the right reputation in the business community, if you do not have the reviews on all the different great review sites, none of them are sponsoring us today, so I won't be mentioning their names, but you know who they are. And there's an awful lot of little additional business models that have popped up that just are specifically out there to help businesses attract the matching consumer, I guess you'd say. And that's been the benefit has been it's opened up a lot of jobs in the franchise support area, right? So we've got our digital marketing experts and we've got our graphic designers, and we didn't need that stuff back in the day. We had graphic designers that were actually doing cut and paste electronically because we were pretty advanced back then.
Yeah.
But they were building print catalogs, and they were building TV commercials and radio commercials. They weren't putting things out there in the Ethernet. They weren't generating websites and landing pages and all that great stuff. And on the franchise development side, I think there's been a couple of changes. First of all, although I dearly love franchise expos, I love exhibiting at franchise expos. I love walking around the show when I get a chance to see what all those other brands are and what they're doing and who's out there. And I think there's still definitely a strong place for that in the franchise development side to educate people. But I think, you've got a huge change in the way that consumers are doing their research. And in the most cases, I think franchise candidates are coming to folks like me on the franchise sales side. They're coming to us with much more prior education. And whether that was because they worked with someone like you, Jason, who helped them understand what types of industries and what types of brands might be able to help them attain their goals, and also help them do a little introspection to learn really what was best for them and what they were even looking for. Or if they just dive into a lot of research online before they get to me, whether it's after they've spoken to you or not. And that's where they're getting all sorts of information. They're coming in with much deeper questions. And that means that franchise development reps have to be a lot sharper. They have to be well trained, and they have to be much more perceptive. Because if you come in and somebody's at 12th grade level and you're trying to teach them on a 4th grade level, so our franchise is about this, it's very fun, here's how it works. I mean, you're going to drive them away. They're going to think that you are going to treat them like that all throughout the operation, which is obviously not a positive thing. So yeah, a lot of changes, a lot of updates, a lot more science and technology involved. We do personality profiles in some cases, so we can learn a little bit about how to better communicate with a candidate, which is even better for how to train and communicate with a franchise owner. And there's a lot of tremendous tools that we have out there to make sure that everyone's experience is optimal.
Yeah. I mean, there has been that all those changes, and you touched on one really important one, right? The amount of research and information available out there about not only the franchise. I mean, hell, I've read some articles that talk about that the average consumer does 6 hours of research before they decide which home improvement company to even call. So like that's on a home improvement thing. That's on the consumer side. Not to mention, right. I mean, the fact that they're going to be, with the franchise, quitting your job, doing something you've never done before, owning a business that maybe you have no idea if it's going to be successful whatsoever. You're going to be dumping your whole life savings into it, and also putting yourself into debt most of the time. You're going to do a ton of research, and the availability of it is outstanding, which is really great. But it does keep you on your toes, right? I mean, you hire like a new franchise development person and put them on the phone with some people. There's a fair chance that the person they're talking to could know more about the brand than they know.
Yes, absolutely. It's a really, really good chance, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I mean that's a scary thing, right? And then talk about training. You getting that person's belief in themselves to be up enough to even compete with that kind of thing. So a lot of cool stuff going in there. And yeah, I mean, your perspective over these 25 years is really neat. So let me ask you, I'm going to touch on this one time. And again, there's nothing to do with you being old. You're not old. I said experienced, old. You said that you are resplendent is the only adjective that I've used to describe you so far. So
thus far, it's not over.
It's not over yet, but I promise. I told you no Howard Stern style questions, so we're good. But over the years, shit, I've lost my train of thought. Where was I going with this? When it came to like lead generation for you guys in 1998, you're generating leads for you and your franchise. Was it primarily magazines, radio ads on a national scale? How did you guys generate leads?
Well, the company that I started with back in '98 was a regional company in New England, and they hired me actually to get themselves beyond New England. I was in the Mid-Atlantic at the time, lived in Maryland, and they wanted to get into the Baltimore, Washington, and Philadelphia markets, and then Richmond, and grow from there. So at the time, we were getting a lot of referrals from customers who were in one of the retail stores, or from Verizon Wireless. That was our exclusive vendor partner for the cellular service, or actually it was actually Bell Atlantic Mobile before Verizon was formed. And we got a tremendous amount of leads at franchise expos. We did very little bit of direct mail, but at the time, the technology for direct mail made it tougher to target. If you had something for consumers like a restaurant, or something that pretty much everybody would use, even like a cell phone, we could do retail advertising, certainly with direct mail and magazines. And we could have done nationwide TV. We didn't. We did just very regional stuff. But for candidates, for franchise development, it was expos, it was referrals, and a little bit of targeted direct mail.
So I'm guessing that's where you'd already expressed your love of franchise expos. I would have to imagine that was the genesis of that. That's where you fell in love with the franchise expo. Because Franchise Times, by the way, also quoting you here. Well, I guess they weren't quoting you before. They was just describing you. Here's their quote. I love expos. It's been horrible without my franchise family. And that's a quote of you in that representing your brands. And so, yeah, COVID-19, it must have been pretty rough on you. It sounds like not just because of, the whole whatever, but it took away something that you loved.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I've been married for 38 years. My wife is a saint for putting up with me. But even, toward the end of that enforced quarantine type of situation, she was going, so when are you going to be traveling again? When does Expo starting up again? Yeah, under my feet. And that's the issue. I'm a people person. You probably can't tell that, but I really love people. And it's not the same, although the franchise sales were booming throughout the COVID scenario. I didn't get my fix of in-person meetings and dealings with people. And I annoyed the hell out of my neighbors, and obviously my wife, my dog, my cat. I mean, it was but it's over. Expos are back. Life is good.
Yeah, expos are back. Life is good. That's really cool. So the reason I invited you onto the show specifically was for the Sir Grout brand. I've fallen in love with this to a degree. I mean, we just started dating, I guess, but they're new to the inventory of the Franchise Brokering Association, which is I'm a member of, and so they're newer to our organization. So our courtship is new, but it was really a love at first sight. But you do have a ton of other brands under Threshold brands, so I'll want you to touch on all of them. But I do have one question regarding the resplendent comment back again. I'll just ask one last question about that. It says that you were in a green, black, and yellow kilt. Were you representing Tilted Kilt at that point?
I would hope not. I would hope that Tilted Kilt would have someone much more decorative than me. No, I was representing Men in Kilts, which is one of our brands.
That's the one.
Yeah, exterior home cleaning, pressure washing, gutter cleaning, that kind of thing.
So not the restaurant. Gotcha.
Not the restaurant.
Okay, good. All right. So
although I have the legs for it, I don't necessarily have everything for it.
I do have a photograph here that we'll share for our listeners when we edit this thing down. And you do, and you're wearing a shirt. I'm guessing that is their shirt as well. It says no peeking.
Right, because when you wear a kilt, every first question is, "Hey, are you wearing?" Hey, no peeking.
Yeah,
we're not doing that.
I like that. It's cool branding. A really neat thing. I've checked out that website, watched the video. The thing that would make me nervous, being an employee of the Men in Kilts, is there is a lot of time on a ladder. So I'm guessing we're enforcing the shorts rule underneath or something.
No, it's no peeking. It says on the shirt. So.
Oh yeah, I guess yeah. That's the disclaimer. Just don't get under the ladder. It's not only is it bad luck, it's going to be a bad view.
Right.
Well, neither here nor
Actually,
there for this
we do
discussion.
require our female employees and franchise owners to wear leggings under the kilt because we don't need that kind of trouble. But
yeah, no, that's smart. But again, we're here to talk about Sir Grout really specifically here. So give us the history of Sir Grout. I know they're a relatively new acquisition of Threshold Brands. Correct me if I'm wrong, but give us the Reader's Digest version of Sir Grout.
Sir Grout was started about 15 or 16 years ago, and it was all about not only cleaning but renewing tile and grout. And over the years, they developed their own proprietary products, which are renowned in the industry, just absolutely fantastic. They've got a very wide variety, not only of the products that they use to clean and restore or renew tile and grout in a consumer's home or in a small business, but they also brought out products that will sanitize, inside the grout area and the tile and, stone, all those things which are actually somewhat porous. They have some terrific products to renew and restore stone. They have a great sandless refinishing process for hardwood floors. They do outdoor pavers and concrete, and they do metal, any kind of hard surface restoration and renewal. And over the years, they've been introducing new products and services every single year for the last 11 years, which is pretty amazing. They've got tremendous franchisees around the country. I think 43% of their franchise owners have multiple territories. And in my experience, that is a fantastic, it's an amazing percentage for a service company, but it's also a fantastic testimonial because, a lot of people buy a product and they might not be as thrilled with their purchase, but if they buy a second or a third, they were happy with their first, they wouldn't have done it. So that's a really cool thing. But this is a very, very highly rated franchise. Entrepreneur Magazine loves them. Success Magazine loves them. Angie's List and Yelp and all those folks love them. And the franchisee testimonies are terrific. It's really a fascinating brand.
Yeah, and you mentioned all those groups, Entrepreneur and Success and all those things. Those accolades are great and those feel good, right? And then they're nice to put on your wall in your office and have a plaque and advertisements and whatnot. But yeah, you said it. The best representation of how great you are comes from how happy are your franchisees, number one, and how much are they willing to invest in another territory, number two. And having that large of a percentage is a really telling thing. And again, that's why I really fell in love with you guys. And I think what you guys are doing is really cool. I know they've been franchising for a while, and I imagine under your tutelage, they're poised for tremendous growth over the next handful of years. Yes. Thumbs up emoji.
Otherwise, I won't be tutelaging anymore.
That's right. But the amount of growth that's going to come from this industry is really cool because it is a service that is not ripe with a lot of competition, even from mom and pop places, because of the number one, the vast array, but the very specific nature of what you guys do. That is a very specific need that a lot of people have. I mean, there's other grout franchises out there, but I mean, I'm pretty well versed in those. I think you guys are king of the hill or knight of the hill, I guess, to say Sir Grout. And I'm really excited to see more about what those are doing. So if we could go, let's focus just on that Sir Grout again, so I don't complicate things. Who are you looking for to run this business? What's your ideal candidate look like, and who should, if you're listening, get ready, because he's going to tell you if you're a match for this brand. And I've seen some of well, I shouldn't say financials because whatever, don't want the franchise police showing up. So, but I've seen a lot about him. I'll let him talk about financial stuff. But who are you looking for? Who's your ideal candidate?
Well, I'll tell you that first of all, we have two paths of ownership, so I'll talk about both of those. But when I come on your podcast again and represent a different brand or a different brand or a different brand or whatever the next brand is, I'm always going to tell you that we're looking for people persons. I don't ever say, do I say people? Anyway, people persons And the reason I say that is because I like people, and I know that when you operate a business, you have to run a team, and the team gets along much better if the leader of that team is personable. So we're always looking for people persons. But two separate paths of ownership. We have an owner-operator model where the owner is probably the one who's going to come in and do the estimates and do the sales and do the networking, getting out in the community, because we get a tremendous amount of referrals from insurance agents, from realtors, from home inspection companies, all those different types of folks. We also, believe it or not, get a lot of referrals from carpet companies, carpet cleaning companies, because when the carpet cleaners go into a house, they realize that they can't clean the whole house. There's tile or wood or whatever, and countertops. We do that too, and people ask, "Oh, can you do you did a great job on my carpet. Can you do it on the?" Oh, no, but you know what? There's a Sir Grout nearby. So those are the things that we like. People who can network, people who can build that relationship with within the community and get referrals. But we're also looking for someone who can build a team. And our businesses don't have to have a whole lot of folks. You can start with one truck, which would be one truck, two technicians, and a franchise owner. That's easy enough to do. But as you build the business, you may have 4 or 6 or 8 or 12 trucks. You get to build it as big as you want. And team building and keeping your employees motivated and keeping them happy and being able to promote from within, all those things are very viable. And we provide a lot of training. I found over the years, and I'm sure you've seen it too, Jason, that a lot of people come in having been in corporate positions where they were responsible for X and Y, but they never got to look at Z, right? So it's a responsibility of a good franchise to be able to train and support for all areas of the business. So folks who come in and have a great operational background, that's great. We train them on the financial side and maybe the personnel side. If they come in with the sales and marketing expertise, well, they may need the operational or the financial or whatever. So we've got to be able to provide all that. But we do want someone who understands that they're buying into a system, and the system is there to help them. It's kind of like guardrails. I'm going to give you a really whack analogy. You got guardrails, right? And if your business model is this wide, you just got to stay between the guardrails to make sure that you don't go off the road and down the mountain. And some businesses have a very, very narrow set of guardrails, and like a sandwich shop, it's here's where you squirt the 3 squirts of mustard on the top of this bun. We don't do 4, and we don't do 2, and don't connect those dots with a line of mustard. We don't do that. Yeah. Ours is a much wider guardrail. You have a lot of opportunity, but we really do need you to stay inside those guardrails. Otherwise, we can't help you get to that position that you're going to. So we're looking for fun people. We're looking for people who have an appreciation for a system. Folks who like to do networking. All those things are very good.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that definitely helps a lot. So, my background is in the home service franchise industry as well. So I'm again very, very familiar with this. But some of the pitfalls that come from certain brands, even though they're in the home service industry, right? It's not the same. There's things that are different, right? And I don't know if you can share this or not, but the average ticket for a Sir Grout franchisee's sale, average unit sale, can you share that number?
Yeah, it is a pretty good range, but it's anywhere from $800 to $1,200.
Okay.
And what's kind of different about our business model is that not only do we get repeat business, because your tile and your hardwood and your grout and your stone countertops and all those different things, they over time they need to be refinished or renewed or just deep cleaned periodically. But we also offer, our franchises offer to the consumer maintenance plans where they come back every quarter and do a touch up. We also have really got a lot of scenarios where the customer gets a bid or a proposal on one specific service, and it might be clean the tile in the 2 bathrooms and in the kitchen. And while we're there, they realize that we do an amazing job on hardwood and stone countertops and the pavers. I live in Florida. We have pavers in the backyard around the outside of the pool. Wow, those need to be cleaned and resealed periodically. So they find out, and we end up doing much more work in that day or scheduling for the second day. So there's, that's entry ticket. That's just the tip of the iceberg, as it were.
Yeah, which is really great, because there's a lot of franchises out there. Think roofing franchises, think some of the bathroom remodeling franchises or kitchen remodeling, countertops, the cabinets. Those things are, I mean, you're talking sometimes in the neighborhood of $25,000 to $50,000 average ticket, right?
Right.
And that can be a more complex sale. There could be a lot more moving parts. It could be more disciplines, more trades that you have to run. And so with a model like this, that's what I've loved about it. It's the simplicity of it, and the fact that the economics are good, but the simplicity of it. So you can get into it without having to be like some crazy salesperson that's able to sell $25,000-$35,000 items and
jobs,
and jobs. And you also don't have to worry about being like a general contractor over like 4 different disciplines. Both of those things add layers of complexity that is not for the average Joe, right? And so anybody who's out there that's watching this, that's maybe a little unsure of themselves, and they think, I'm just not strong at maybe sales, or I'm not strong at construction or the trades. What do you have to say to them about that feeling? Those people that are maybe self-disqualifying.
Great, yeah. Well, I've been described as resplendent. I have not been described as handy. Just so you know, that's not. You can ask my wife, and she will tell you. Yeah. But this is a job where the franchise owner, under normal circumstances, is never the one who's doing the actual job. You could if you really wanted to, but that's not the best use of the talents of the owner. So they absolutely do not need to be good with tools. We have an absolutely tremendous training program, 40 hours, which is on the operations and sales and the tile and grout. And then there's a second training when the franchisee is ready that does all the stone and the other hard surfaces as well. And their employees, when they come for these trainings, they are going to be hard surface refinishing experts when they leave. It's really astounding how well that's done. But as you say, you don't really get a lot of repeat business in a kitchen remodel franchise, right? It's a one-shot deal kind of, and we have an insulation franchise. There's nothing wrong with one-shot deals. Our insulation franchise, no one ever gets their house re-insulated a second time.
No.
But our job is to attract potential clients, and we do that for the franchisee in most respects. We have a tremendous digital marketing program with all sorts of different aspects. We have a lot of mixed media with direct mails and email type marketing. And if you look on our website, it's a very, very high SEO. So when people start looking for refinish for their grout and their hardwood, they come to us, and the testimonials from customers and the before and after pictures do a great job. And then finally, we actually have a national sales center. So the national sales center is the one that gets those web-based leads. All the digital stuff kind of goes right into them. They also take the phone calls. They do the initial conversations with these potential clients, and they also do the customer service until there's a situation where the franchise owner has to get involved, which doesn't happen all that much. So it's not really a lot of sales as you might imagine. There definitely is some estimating going on and networking for referrals, but it's not really that tough a business to spread the word about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, again, that's why I'm a fan, truthfully, and I think this is absolutely perfect for so many people. That said, there's always a financial component to it. So, how much we talking all in, and what's the fee structure like, and how much working capital does one need?
Okay, so forgive me, I'm going to look over on this other screen because I like to be accurate. When I deal with 8 brands, I don't want to rely on my memory. As you say, I'm over 22, and you never know. I'm way over 22. Sorry. So the investment runs from $99,795, so under $100,000, and it can go up to about $152,000, depending on some of the decisions that the franchise owner makes. And the big decision, really, in that case, is: do I buy a van or lease a van, and how many employees and vans do I want to start with? So it's pretty. Although that's a lot of money, it's a relatively low cost of entry for a franchise. It is home-based, so you don't have to pay leasing expenses for an office, although you could certainly grow into one. And your other question was, what was your other question? Or is that just it? Just start.
I think that was it. Yeah, that pretty much answered it. So I think you're good. So
you're not as old as me. You can't be forgetting this stuff.
Under 150 grand is what we're looking at. So I mean, that's a tremendous opportunity for a really a relatively low investment level. And you mentioned before, the squirting the mustard onto the sandwich. I'm not going to say the name of this place. They do subs, and there's a way of knowing that who I'm talking about. But I'm kidding, of course. You probably know who I'm talking about. They to open up their business, you're talking 400 grand, give or take.
Right.
And I've seen the financials on them. It is what it is. You are rewarded, I guess, to some degree for having a really low skill set that is needed to do that job, right? So you're kind of rewarded accordingly. But when it comes to financial earnings, for this business, for Sir Grout, what are we talking? Average unit volume, top line, if you can share that. Bottom line would be even better.
I wish
that's possible.
So a lot of your audience probably know about the Federal Trade Commission, and they have regulations for how franchises educate their clients, what they can and cannot say. We're very lucky. At Sir Grout, we have in our documentation, that's franchise disclosure, we do have financial information on franchisee performance. So I've got my document right up here, so I don't screw it up. So let me tell you what I can tell you, and then how your listeners can find out more information, not only about our brand, but any of the brands that you're guiding them into. So we have what's called an item 19, which is called a financial performance representation. And our franchise development reps are not allowed to discuss any information that might not be in this disclosure. So here's what the disclosure says. In 2020, way back over a year ago, in 2020, our average revenue, top line, was $278,494. So about 278,000, and that included 3 months of limited operations due to COVID. Now, the reason that there were limited operations was because grout cleaning and tile cleaning was not considered an essential service back then. I know in my house it is, but apparently, what's up with our government? They didn't know that.
Yeah. Disinfecting doesn't sound like it'd be that important during COVID-19, right? Okay.
Yeah, what's up with that?
Fair enough.
But that's all been handled, and we are now actually considered an essential service, not only by myself and my wife, but by our government. Now we had franchises as high as $640,000 in revenue, and we had a franchisee as low as about 173, and that was the difference. Of course, is how the people run their business, and some people got a little bit more concerned about COVID and stayed out of homes for another little bit of time. It all depends there. Unfortunately, I do not have any bottom line data, but I can tell you that in the 15 years we've been franchising, we have over 94% franchise retention. So we haven't lost many franchises at all. As a matter of fact, considering we only have 45 franchises, basically that means we've lost one franchise in the 15-year history. So this is not a business. I mean, I detest that people say they're recession resistant and recession proof, pandemic proof. Who knows what that really means. But the point is, when you talk to our franchise owners and you get more details about that bottom line and their experience, you're going to find out that they weren't scared that any of their friends in the brand were going to be going out of business. That's not a problem
here. That says it all. If people are happy, they're going to renew. How long's your term, by the way, on the
10 years with
franchise
renewal options, of course.
Yeah.
And what normally happens is, I'm sorry?
Unlimited renewal options, or is there
a
number of? Okay, look at
Correct. That. I'm not a believer in one and done or two and done. I know the Kentucky basketball program would not like to hear that, because they're all about one and done. But NCAA March Madness, sorry, I had to do that. But we're also very fortunate that in most cases, our franchisees, they start their first unit. A couple of years later, they get their second, or maybe a couple of years later, third. So folks might be running out of the renewal of one term, and they've got another one, so they're going to renew this one. And that's going to give them, it's a stair step kind of thing. It's not like they're all stopping, at the end of the terms at the same time for all of them. That really is very, very rare to have.
Yeah, and territory size. I think that'll be the last question about the actual formula of your franchise. So territory size.
So Threshold Brands just acquired Sir Grout about 90 or 120 days ago, and we made a lot of changes. They had a very interesting territory determination, and we've changed it right now. We've increased it to 50,000 qualified households. So a qualified household means that the annual income is over 75,000. Not to say that people with an annual income of lower than that are not going to use the services, but we wanted to make sure that there were high enough incomes that people could afford the services, and increased it to 50,000 households because we thought that was giving everybody an opportunity for a lot of growth.
Okay, 50,000 qualified households. So usually, if those of you out there who don't understand like how to do the math on that, what that would look like, average household in America is considered 2.1 individuals. So multiply that out, and then whatever your average income is in your specific territory, you could probably get hell. I'll teach you. Go to dataaxle.com or infousa.com and just type in your zip code and select those things that he just said, 75,000 plus owner occupied home, and bada bing, bada boom, go to the map, draw a radius, and it'll tell you how many are in that area. So you can kind of get a feel for it yourself, and maybe your website has opportunities for them to do that on their own. I would hope not really, because
we reserve that for you.
Yeah, they should be talking to you.
Yeah, and and Jason, when you say, hey, I've got a candidate who's interested and they live in this area, then I send you a territory map and I show you what's available, and it actually shows the specific territory with the breakdown of qualified households, all that great stuff. So we want you to be able to counsel people that either, hey, it's not available in your market because somebody beat you to it, or it's available and here's the market that would be yours, or here's you can choose between these 3 territories that are right around your market, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah, that's cool. I like that, and they are protected territories, obviously, as the definition goes.
Correct.
But this is something I'm just kind of curious about. They're usually are they usually like circular in shape, or do you guys have kind of an amoeba shaped thing?
They go by zip codes, so I don't know what the rhyme or reason was in the way that our government agencies drew zip codes, but there is no such thing as a circular. It's not a radius kind of thing, because it's not people driving into your location. And some of them, I looked at a territory today that was sold prior, and it stretches like this kind of a thing, and it's real. I have no idea why they decided they wanted a territory in that shape, but we do some weird stuff. But yeah, it's usually some sort of a squarish, circle-ish, amoeba-looking thing. We try to keep it as central as possible to where the franchisee lives, just because it's that much easier for a transit.
Yeah, and is that a home-based business?
Yeah, although a lot of our franchisees end up opening a smaller office. It's not ever something with retail. You need some storage. Sometimes you want to put your trucks indoors or keep the supplies out of the weather, that kind of thing.
Makes total sense. So I'm going to wrap this up with, I'm looking on your LinkedIn page here, and I love your about saying here. And he said, you're dedicated to improving people's lives through franchise ownership with transparency and positivity in all aspects. I love that. And so with that in mind, can you share with us the story of the first franchise that you awarded, and what that felt like? Do you remember that?
I do. I had a pair of partners approach me, Mike and Bill, in Feasterville, Pennsylvania. We all have heard about Feasterville now,
of course.
And they had worked in the same industry and had worked, actually, one was a retail employee and one was a B2B rep for wireless service for Verizon, or Bell Atlantic Mobile at the time. And it was a learning experience for me, since it was the first one that I awarded. It was a learning experience for them. They had never owned their own business before. And these guys are actually still great friends. Bill, who was a little bit more mature, used the first business. They opened a second business. Each of them that way had the ability to direct the entire operation. Bill kept his one store, which was a huge high performer, and used that as a springboard so that he and his wife could adopt a few more children. It was really an amazing story. Hold on, got a little choked up. Mike, on the other hand, who ended up marrying after he had opened the franchise, and I got to attend the wedding and help celebrate that kind of a life change with him. They started a family. They opened several more stores. He I guess from the third year on, and this is 22 years ago, they had the #1 store in the whole chain of 400 stores. So he built a phenomenal business, and these folks are still friends and in contact today. Really, franchising is an amazing family, folks.
It's a cool story, man. I appreciate you sharing, and the emotion that you have says it all when it comes to what this is. A franchise is a partnership, and it's a two-way street. It's a partnership, and you, if done well and done right, you're going to have those people in your lives for the rest of both of your respective lives. And it sounds like you did it right. So
thank you, sir.
That's going to wrap it up with us. Ron, tell the viewers and or listeners how they can get in touch with you and your brands, and anything else you want to say as a closing statement.
Great. Well, I'm pretty easy to find on LinkedIn, Ron Bender, CFE, Certified Franchise Executive. You can also reach me. My email address is very simple, rbender@thresholdbrands.com. But you can always just hit the website for Sir Grout or for any of our other brands, or Threshold Brands, to see all 8 of the brand opportunities. And we're probably going to be adding some brands this year, and maybe have some more home services opportunities for your listeners.
All right. Well, thank you so much. That was the resplendent Ron Bender with Sir Grout and Threshold Brands. Thank you so much for being on the show. Super fun guest to have.
Happy to be here, Jason. And by the way, I had a conversation with the president of Sir Grout, a lovely lady named Tanisha, just yesterday, and she told me that she's going to get me a chainmail shirt and a Knight's helmet so that I could be resplendent in her brand outfit as well.
Oh boy, can't wait.
Can't beat that.
Yeah, we'll make sure we do a follow-up interview in the full chainmail Knight's outfit.
I'll do the whole thing. It'd be fun.
Yeah, that's exciting. Ron, thank you so much, and stay tuned. We're going to wrap this thing up here in just a moment.
Thank you, Jason. Have a great day.
Hey, welcome back. All right, so that was fun conversation there with Ron, right? I mean, what a cool guy. He's got a lot of really great experience in this industry and in helping people to live out their dreams through franchising. That's exactly what our mission is here as well. You know, our mission and what we do is we help people to declare independence in their lives by helping them find freedom through franchise ownership. And man, it's scary. Let's just be honest. It's scary. It's scary becoming a franchisee. It's risky to invest everything that you've got, or at least a large portion of what you got, into buying a franchise and opening up a franchise. As I mentioned on the interview, heck, you're going to have to take a large chunk of your savings, if not all of it, and invest it into something that you've likely never done before, perhaps in an industry that you've never been in before. And there's a lot that goes on with that, and it can be very scary. But I want to at least challenge the way that you look at this. I mean, gosh, look at the world right now. What do we got going on? We got the Russia is invading Ukraine. We've got a pandemic still going on, and all of that plays goofy tricks with your money, and with inflation's going haywire. The government's dumping trillions of dollars into the economy artificially and driving up inflation. I mean, heck, the whole thing is scary. I mean, just saving your money, that's scary, because it's devaluing every day. Putting your money into the stock market, golly, look at what the stock market's been doing. I mean, it goes up and then way down and then up and way down. That's number one. It can't be good for your stomach. You're gonna get some ulcers out of the deal. Your heart's gonna explode. So the whole thing, it's all dangerous. There's no guarantees in life. But the one thing that you can guarantee is, if you bet on yourself through franchise ownership or ownership of any type of business, at least you're in control of that bet. Because if you're betting on a stock that you know nothing about, you don't know what the CEO is going to do, something haywire goes on, you got somebody who's comes out and they're a womanizer, and all of a sudden the stock plummets, people lose faith in that company, and it's over. and you had no control over that. You weren't in there womanizing anybody. There's so many things that can happen. Heck, look at Halliburton. Anybody that ring a bell? Lots of stuff can happen that's outside of your realm of control, but the most control that you can have is if you own your own business and control your own destiny. Your 401k is not control. If that's your retirement strategy, it's fine. Keep it up, keep doing it. But I would recommend that we look at things that you can again declare your independence. That's the only way to find true, not only financial freedom, but life freedom. I mean, you don't want to be going into work every single day working for somebody else, do you? That's why you're listening to this podcast. And so again, it can be very scary. There's a lot that goes on with it. Buying a franchise is a process, just like anything else. You got to find the right one. You got to talk to all the people. They got to interview you. You got to get approved. You got to get your financing in place if you're going to fund it through using financing resources. There's so many things that have to happen. Just do yourself a favor. Start the process towards realizing that goal. If it's for you, if it's not for you, then you're probably listening to the wrong podcast in the first place. So turn it off and don't ever tune back in. But if you did find anything valuable within this and see yourself in either that franchise that we just talked about, Sir Grout, or any of the other Threshold brands, or any other franchise that you would have available, keep listening. Please subscribe, by the way. I do appreciate that. I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. Please subscribe to the podcast. But again, thank you for listening to this one at the very least. And if you want to start that ownership journey, log into our website. It's revfran.com, revfran.com, Revolution Franchise Brokers. And this is the Franchise Revolution podcast. Thank you to our guest today, the resplendent Ron Bender of Sir Grout and Threshold Brands. Appreciate him coming out and doing that for us. He was a lot of fun. And tune in to the next episode and find us where you can find podcasts, your Apple Store, and all the other places that you find podcasts, and or on YouTube. So again, thanks for listening to Revolution Franchise Brokers, and we'll see you next time.